Holy shit, man, I am tired of people talking about Prey. I'm mostly referring to the negativity I've been seeing. Now, I'm not opposed to criticism, not in the slightest. In fact, that's what I'm doing in this video. But I feel the majority of reviews and comments aren't representing the game properly. They just talk shit and offer no solution. What the fuck? With all that said, put your feet up and stay a while. I'm Tyler, and I'm gonna evaluate Prey. The premise goes a little like this. The player assumes the role of Morgan Yu, the subject of many questionable experiments with the end goal to quote-unquote help the human race. Then bam! Seemingly out of nowhere, an outbreak happens, and it's our job to exterminate the Typhon aboard Talos 1 and survive.
I never asked for this.
Armed with nothing but whatever you find aboard Talos 1, your survival instincts, and all the neuromods you can get your grubby little hands on, you set out. Now I promise you that's all the story I'll be delving into for now, as I feel the plot deserves its own video. Maybe. Instead, I'll be focusing on gameplay, level design, and touching on presentation and audio. Audio. That's cute, if that's what this game wants to call it. Well, okay, in a nutshell, the audio isn't well mixed. It has a tendency to, I don't know, cut out. Not to mention, the music is too freaking loud. Now, of course, you could just go into your options and turn down the music, but I shouldn't have to. Disregarding that, there are some issues that can't be solved that easily, like the aforementioned cutting and mixing. Sometimes sound bites would just not finish playing, resulting in an abrupt stop, which is stupid. Arkane, get your shit together. I shouldn't have to worry about listening to audio logs with the game's music or NPC dialogue interrupting or drowning it out. Give them the dominant channel, you dig? It's an easy fix, do it next time or in an update, I don't know. Glaring issues aside, how does the rest of the audio fare? Well, let me tell you, this shit's pretty crisp. It all blends together nicely. Alien things sound alien-y, everything in space sounds muffled, a lot of the guns and powers have a kick to it, that extra oomph. I could tell that they wanted detail in every drop of sound. It's quite pleasant. And the soundtrack isn't bad either. I guess I could somewhat say the same thing about the presentation. I played on PS4. Yeah, I know, jaggies, 30 FPS, input lag, inferior, blah 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 blah. I still think it looks amazing. The aliens are simple yet striking, and the space station ain't too bad either. The areas, while not the most original, are well thought out and cohesive with one another. Nothing feels out of place. It's actually surprising to see all the details like debris and your glue staying where it is, even though you enter a new room and come back. That's just rad to see. The game is chock full of these details that sell it for the immersive sim it wants to be. However, I cannot get over those character models. They are ugly as shit. Arkane, I love ya, but you need to listen to me. The way to improve for a potential sequel is to do what you did, but better. Don't suck. Add variety without taking away the cohesion. And don't make ugly character models. Fix that fucking pop-in. That shit makes your games look jank. But anyway, on to the next point, which is something of a controversy for this game. It's the gameplay. A lot of people compare it to Dishonored, saying it's like Dishonored but with less depth. While I can't agree or disagree with that comparison since I've not picked up a single Dishonored game, I can safely say to these people they need to politely fuck right off. See, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. The gameplay is full of depth. I'd say more than their actual thought process at the very least. However, I can agree to a degree, the weapons aren't too varied, which is a damn shame. But the depth comes from the navigation of Talos itself. There are many ways to get in and out of rooms, like you pick up shit, you do the hacking, you turn into a motherfucking cup. You get my point. And combat does have depth, albeit you fight the same shit and that shit doesn't have any strategy. Mimics will always turn into shit and jump at you. If you want to bring that crap up, that's cool. I agree. You have an actual complaint about the game. Good for you. Don't just say it lacks depth and leave it at that. Arkane won't learn. No one will learn. Most developers are retarded. You have to tell them what the issue is and give them feedback. This, my dear, is what we call constructive criticism. So Arkane, I'm talking to you. If you want to have us play our way, introduce all your skill tree in the beginning of the game, or at the very least the first hour or so. I went through like a third of your fucking game forgetting that powers are a thing I could get in this game. One of your selling points. And another thing, you can have the amount of enemies, just make them smarter and have different strategies. So far, mimics just do what I said they did, and nothing else. The phantoms do nothing more than shoot shit at you no matter what element they are. Oh, and your special enemies, they aren't any better. Nightmares are just big bullet sponge phantoms. Crystalloids, they're just suicide bombers. See, this would all be fine if they showed up together more often. I think some of the enemies only showed up together like twice in late game. Other than that, you have like a group of like 5 mimics or 2 or 3 phantoms, and maybe some mimics and phantoms. Not much variety. And this pains me because they do have good enemies that use some strategy and are a joy to fight. Take the Technopath. This Typhon can control machinery around it, as well as grab turrets and operators, which are robots that normally help you by healing and fixing your suit, or giving you more psi, and it turns them against you. This is a good type of enemy for what it is. This kinda carries over to the Telepath, albeit to a less impressive degree. See, telepaths control humans and turn them into suicide bombers. I see what they were going for with morality, but most players don't care, and will shoot anything that looks evil or is just annoying to deal with. Maybe they should have made it so that humans halt your progress. You know, like lock doors, computers, or turn off power, or break shit like fabricators. All this could have made the Telepath a bit better. Another decent enemy was the Poltergeist. It literally throws shit at you and uses psionic abilities to trap you. It also turns invisible and moves around to surprise attack you. It made me feel how the mimics were supposed to make me feel. But I'll admit it, it was still kind of underwhelming to fight it. Probably because it was mostly by itself. Maybe combine this with the mimics. 2 methods of surprise attack, and more than just attacking by jumping at me? But I digress. The rest of the game seems decent as is, such as crafting and shooting, except for the PS4 with that slight input lag. Though it didn't bother me much since I did beat the game and I plan on playing it a couple more times, so whatever. Now that was a lot of negative ground I just covered. But don't worry, this game has some great things in it. I believe the game's strongest suit is its level design. The best way I could describe it to you is it's something of a looping honeycomb. Now, it's nothing to the degree of Dark Souls where just about every area bleeds into one another. It's more like a Metroid game where you have a standard hub area that branches off into the next, maybe those areas branch off into another area or one that you've been to before. You could tell they tried their best to make each area organically lead into another one so it wouldn't make navigation a chore. And it works! Sort of. Okay, well, there are these loading zones and they're kind of shit. Each time you want to go into an area, you have to load. I'm normally okay with this. I understand. The game needs to load shit every now and then. I totally get it. Okay, take Bloodborne for example. People crucified that game for its loading, which it wasn't that bad. It was like 30 seconds from what I recall, and it's mostly when you fast travel or die. Oh, but then you get to Prey, which is like a minute to a minute 30 each time. And that's not to mention that this is a game where you backtrack. Which I'm okay with backtracking. I love the Metroid series, which is notorious for backtracking. You know what? In fact, Arkane, I think you could learn a thing from them. Yo, Arkane, check it. In Metroid Prime, you do a lot of backtracking as well. To get to a different area, you had to hop aboard these elevators. You know what though? These didn't break the flow of gameplay since they masked their loading screens with a cutscene. So how boring would it be if I just hopped aboard an elevator and they gave me like a little loading bar? No. I got a pretty little cutscene to look at my character, and that was special since Samus's appearance would change depending on my upgrades. You could have done the same. How is it that a game on a less powerful platform could do this over 14 years ago and you can't? Loading screens take me out of the game and immersion, and since you wanted to make an immersive sim, that's kind of defeating the point. But, let me tell you, when the loading screen ends, I'm in awe of how good Arkane did. While the whole design is decent, the little details like the rooms you could break into are varied and fun. I already gushed over this when I was talking about navigation. The areas are just so rad when it comes to navigation and killing stuff. Not just that, this game does something special with storytelling through detail of rooms. Like an example, a room full of character sheets from Dungeons and Dragons or a game like it. That's just great. I really had a kick with things like that in this game. In fact, I had a kick with the whole game. I'm recommending this to everyone, not just Shock fans or Looking Glass fans. This game will test your patience, and not in the way you'd think. Oh man, it's so hard, I better be patient. No, this is a game that wants you to take your time. It's a game that lets you play your way, but you have to invest in some time before you can get every option. But I'm telling you, man, it's worth it. Pick up Prey. It's a modern take on the classic Shock formula, which is It's so good to have back. Hey, thanks for watching. Let me know if you want me to make a video discussing the story. Just so you know, that video would require me to invest a lot of time in Prey, so it would be a while. If you like what you saw, subscribe. Or don't. You do you. With that, have a great rest of your day.